Good morning, students. We are learning lesson number 4, Creation of the Mughal Empire. Till now, we have learnt about the first battle of Panipat, which took the 1526, and it is the foundation year of Mughal Empire, Mughal dynasty in India. Babur, who was the founder of Mughal dynasty, he fought the first battle of Panipat in 1526 and he defeated to Ibrahim Lodi, the Lodi dynasty, last emperor, the last sultan. Afterwards, he fought many other battles. This we have talked in the topic. After that, his son Humayun he sat on the throne. About this also already I have explained to you. Two times he sat on the throne, 1532, 1540, and the next year 1555 to 5056. Humayun, when he sat on the throne, he have faced many problems, and this only he have given in hereditary to his son Akbar also. When Akbar sat on the throne, he was only 13 years old, and he was having lots of challenges which he had to face. But with the help of his guardian Bhairav Khan, he succeeded all to crush his rebellions. So in this way, student, we have learnt about Akbar. Akbar was one of the impressive Mughal emperor. He adopted many policies, which is the Rajput policy, territorial expansion, cultural contributions. It means he was having the different kinds of the things which helped Mughal empire to expand from west to east and from north to south. Afterwards, when in Akbar we have learned so many points. After Akbar, his son Salim, which was afterwards famous with the Jahangir or the conqueror of the world. We have learned about Jahangir. After death of Akbar, 1605 he sat on the throne, but he was having the lots of challenges, some challenges from his own family. This also I have already explained to you. Afterwards, the Jahangir son Shah Jahan he sat on the throne, and Shah Jahan he reigned from 1628 to 1658. And student, here I have explained to you his reign known as the golden era of Mughal empire, or he is known as the builder of the architectural. He in his reign only different or the fine architectural buildings were built in India. Now student, we are learning today the administrative system in Mughal empires. It means who are the different persons were there, those who are helping to the emperors. Today we are going to learn about this one. First point we can see here the Wazir or the Wakil. Headed a Diwan-e-Wizarat, looked after the income, expenditures, collection, revenue and the other financial matters. So Wazir or the Wakil were there, those who are having take care of all the financial matters. Second, we can understand the Mir Bakshi, who looked after all the military affairs, Mir Bakshi. Then the chief Sadar or the chief Qazi looked after all the charities, religious affairs, educations and headed the department of justice. It was the work of chief Sadar and a chief Qazi. Khan-e-Saman looked after the imperial household, all the household work of the imperial, it was the work of Khan-e-Saman. Then Daroga-e-Dak Chowki was in charge of the imperial post. Mir Atish supervised the artillery. Diwan-e-Tan looked after matters related to Jagirs. Then Daroga-e-Takshal was the supervisor of the royal mint. Okay, it means where the treasury or the royal currency have to be print, have to be mold. That is the work of Daroga-e-Takshal. So student, in this way we can understand Wazir or Wakil, the work of what was the work of Wakil, the Wazir. Mir Bakshi, what was the important role, like way Chief Sadar and Chief Qazi, Khan-e-Saman, Daroga-e-Dak Chowki and the Mir Atish, Diwan-e-Tan and Daroga-e-Takshal. So it was a different work of different departmental persons, and according to them only they were doing their work. Next we can understand here division of the Mughal empire. Like we are learning about, just we know different, our country also divided into different states in this one. So in this way the Mughal empire was also too vast, and there also the division, because it was a necessary too for the development of their empire. So first of all, the kingdom was divided into the subas and the provinces under the subedar and the governors. It means the subedar governors, honor they were the honor of the subas and the different provinces. Then subas were divided into the sarkaras, and sarkaras were divided into the parganas, and pargana was having the villages. So in this way, student, we can understand the smallest unit of their empire was the villages, and then after empire these subas were the second position were there. So subas of the provinces divided into the sarkaras were divided into parganas, and pargana divided into the villages. The village administration were looked after by the panchayat. So in this way it was a division of Mughal empire. Now so next we can understand Mansabdari system. What is the Mansabdari system? It was introduced by Akbar. Mansabdari system introduced by Akbar. And what was the Mansabdari system? Now let's see. It is the most significant feature of Mughal administrative, that is a Mansabdari system. It was like a refined form of Iqta system of Delhi sultans. In class 7th you have learned about Iqta system. It was introduced by the Iltutmish, one of the slave sultan. Mansab means rank and the positions in Arabic. Okay, it was the graded system and not hereditary. It means the person, they were getting their rank and the position according to their work. So each one the officer, they have assigned a mansab, and they were called a mansabdar. Mansab means they have got the jagirs, big land, and according to their land, according to their rank, they were knowing as the mansabdar. So I hope so you understood what is the meaning of mansab and mansabdar. Mansab means the big area land or some other things are there, and those are honor of that mansab, they are known as a mansabdar. Okay, so actually there is a system of the Mansabdari system. It was introduced by Akbar. So according to Mansabdari system, they were entering in the service at a low rank. It means like a low rank they were entering in the Mansabdari system, but according to their loyalty and their services, how much they are faithful for the Mughal empire, Mughal emperor, so they were getting their promotions. And their rank depending on number of horsemen sawar he would maintain. It means how many horsemen they were maintaining, according to them only they were getting their mansabdari, they were getting their rank. So first of all you have to understand what is a mansab. Mansab means one kind of the rank, and those are holder of the mansab. Mansab means rank, or it was they were the owner of the land, and they were known as the mansab. Actually they were getting the entry in the Mansabdari system at a low rank, but according to their loyalties and services they were getting their promotions, and it was depending how many horses they were maintaining. Okay, so in this way mansab they were formed during the royal group, and whenever the Mughal empire they need, they were asking to help them, whatever in any kinds of the things. In the time of the war, the king mostly used the troops of mansabdar. So this is a Mansabdari system. It has been introduced by Emperor Akbar. Now student, next one we can understand agrarian relations. It means agrarian means related to the agriculture, related to the land. And just I have explained to you, Akbar was having the 9 gems. One of them was the Todarmal. Todarmal was known as the revenue system what we are having nowadays, and it means somehow it was introduced by Todarmal at that time also. And he introduced system, this is known as the Todarmal's Bandobast. At that time the state land called the Khalisa, and they are having the different kinds of the land category. So during the Mughal empire the land was divided into the 4 categories. So first one the Polas, second is the Parauti, third is the Chachar, and fourth is the Banjar. Now Polas, what was the Polas land? It means according to their fertility, they was divided into the four category. Polas were the category of the fertile land, which are always cultivated. Polas means always which can be cultivated, which is very fertile. Paroti, land kept fallow uncultivated for 1 and 2 years. The second category is a Paroti, and according to this category, this land have to remain unfertile for the 1 and 2 years. Then next one, the Chachar. Okay, next one you can understand Chachar is there, which land kept followed 3-4 years to rain fertility. Then Banjar we can understand the lowest quality of land which was not cultivated at all. Okay, so in this way we can understand four category during the Mughal emperor. Then Bhiga was also there. Bhiga was the unit of the land which were measured with the help of bamboo sticks. Nowadays also we are using the Bhiga. Okay, smallest unit of the land. So student, in this way you can understand. Now last point is there, what are the major literary sources to know about the Mughal period? Like student, many names you have heard like the Babarnama. Okay, Babarnama, Akbarnama, these many names you have heard before that. Like Tuzuk-e Baburi. Tuzuk-e Baburi, which were written, it means it is a one autobiography. Okay, now second is the Humayunama, and it is the biography of Humayun. Okay, it was written by the Gulbadan Begum on the request of Akbar. Then Akbarnama and Aine Akbari, written by the Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl name already we have learned in the chapter. Akbarnama is in the 3 volumes. Aine Akbari is its 3rd volume. Then Mutakaf ul Tawakrish, it was written by Badawini. Tuzuk-e Jahangiri, the autobiography of Jahangir. Padshah Nama, written by Abul Hamid Lahori. And Futuhat-e-Alamgiri, written by Isar Das Nagar. So these are the different books you supposed to learn this name. These are the sources to know the Mughal period. Student, these are the books. It means whatever the books name we have included here, these are the big resources to know about the Mughal period. Actually, according to a standard now, whatever things I have explained to you, you can understand it is like a one kinds of introduction only. There is a so deep meanings are there. It is a deep, it means we can understand it is a vast explanation there. Okay, but according to your part, you have to understand till now whatever we have learned, whatever you have gone through. We have learned, again I am recapitulating the chapter. In this chapter we have learned about the Mughal emperor, first of all Babur, 1526. Then student, and the timeline, always I am explaining you, timeline is having the one of the most important part, and through the timeline we can understand what are the different point you are going to learn the chapter. Afterwards student, we have gone through and we have learned about the Humayun. After that, Humayun's son Akbar, who was the one of the more impressive emperor in the Mughal dynasty. Whatever the policies and he had adopted, this also we have learned. Especially religious policy also I have explained to you already. Deen-e-Ilahi. He also abolished so many taxes for the Hindu people also. Afterwards we have learnt about his son Jahangir, how he faced many problems. Afterwards we have learnt about Shah Jahan, and afterwards Aurangzeb. And today I have explained to you the different administrative officers in the Mughal period, this portion here, and then Mansadari system, then agrarian relation of during the Mughal period. So one more time you can go through and you can understand the topic. So thank you, have a nice day.